Hey Sugar Geeks, welcome back to the Sugar Geek Show. I'm Liz Merrick, your unicorn host for the evening. Today we're going to be making our very first unicorn cake. I'm going to show you how I get my super sharp edges, a colorful rainbow mane, making a perfect unicorn horn, and of course those beautiful sparkly eyes. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so to start our unicorn cake, I actually have a pre-crumb coated cake that's all ready to be frosted in my final layer of buttercream. I went ahead and used my white velvet cake to make the rainbow layers. Avalon helped me. All we did was we divided up our batter into 4 separate colors. I love using the electric colors because they're super bright and neon and kind of have that Lisa Frank look to them, and I wanted the cakes to have a rainbow look to them without actually using all the colors of the rainbow. All you do is make up the white velvet batter according to the recipe, divide into 4 separate bowls or measuring cups, whatever you like, and then add about a half a teaspoon of coloring into each cup and mix well. And then I spoon this batter into a cake pan lined with cake goop, starting with blue, then green, then yellow, then pink. I do 2 scoops of each color, and then I alternate it about twice to fill up each cake pan about halfway. That way I have 3 layers of rainbow cake. When this cake comes out of the oven, it does shrink away from the pan a little bit because you're adding extra color into it, so you're mixing the cake batter a little bit more than usual. It's totally okay, it's not gonna ruin the cake or anything. And you also want to take the cake pans and right when they come out of the oven, give them a little tap on the countertop, and that helps the air release evenly from the cake so it doesn't shrink weirdly. Once your cakes are baked up, cooled, and wrapped, I chill my cakes just for a little bit so they're firm enough to handle and to frost. If you need more information on how to frost your first cake, go ahead and check out my How to Make Your First Decorated Cake video. And that goes over all of the steps in baking, frosting, chilling, trimming, all that good stuff. So let's start making our unicorn cake. Okay, so we have our crumb coated cake here. And if you watch my video on how to make your first cake, you will see that I do the upside down technique with the buttercream, but because we're gonna be frosting this cake, the whole top of it is gonna be covered in buttercream rosettes. We don't gotta worry that much about what the top edge looks like. So I'm just going to put a final layer of buttercream on here. This is my easy buttercream recipe. Super fast to come together, just egg whites, powdered sugar, butter, and vanilla. No special cooking required. I never skip that 15 minutes of paddling on low at the very end to get all of the bubbles out, because that's how you get a super smooth layer of buttercream. Now we're gonna use my handy dandy bench scraper. I got this one from the dollar store, so it's very inexpensive tool, but so helpful for getting straight edges on your cakes. Just place the bench scraper straight up and down on your turntable and scrape. Because this cake is stacked on top of a cardboard, it's called a cake board actually, when the bench scraper reaches that cardboard, it stops. So the combination of the 90-degree angle of your bench scraper sitting on top of the turntable and then hitting the cardboard results in straight edges. So sometimes when I stack my cakes, I don't do a very good job of making sure that they're trimmed down enough, and I'll have these little, brown lines of where you can see the cake going through the buttercream. So I will come in with just my little cake knife here and just cut that off a little bit, because I don't want to see that through my buttercream. You definitely avoid this by trimming down the sides of your cakes before putting them on the cake board, which I didn't do this time around. And look, now I'm paying the price. Just fill that back up with buttercream and you'll never know. And then, once the sides are straight, all you have to do is take your offset spatula and just smooth out that top a little bit. I just drag that top edge towards the center of the cake. Like I said, you don't have to worry too much about those edges being perfectly sharp. So this is a great cake for beginners who want to practice, you know, putting buttercream on your cake, but you're not exactly perfect yet. It all just takes practice. Okay, so now I'm going to put this into the freezer or the fridge and just chill it up and get it nice and firm while we work on the other parts of our decorations. Okay, my cake is done chilling, and I'm just gonna place it on top of my cake board. I just glued it down with a little dab of buttercream to keep it from sliding around. This is a pre-made cake board from Cake Boards Aver, and they're just really great because they're already finished, they're heavy duty, and you don't have to cover them or prep them in any particular way. And then I am using some printed out eyes that I designed for unicorn cakes because I just didn't like the typical black eyelashes. I just think they're kind of like boring, and I wanted to make my unicorns a little bit different and a little bit more unique. So it's kind of like a cross between the unicorn cake and like a My Little Pony cake. So this is just a free downloadable template that you can get on my website, sugargeekshow.com, and go to the Rainbow Unicorn Cake tutorial, and then you can print out this image on an icing sheet like Photo Frost or icing images, something like that, and just make sure you set your printer to best photo or highest quality so that you don't get any streaks. You can also take this image to any store like Walmart or something that prints out edible images for you. It's not copyright, I made it, so I give you permission. This comes in 3 different colors, purple, pink, or blue. I'm gonna go with pink. You can store these leftover images in a Ziploc bag just to keep it away from any hot or cold temperatures, and it should last you quite a while. If you want to know more about what kind of edible printer I use, all that information is labeled on my blog post. Sometimes using scissors can be a little bit finicky with such small things like the eyelashes, so if you want to cut them out using an X-Acto knife, that's okay too. Or you can just cut the eyelashes off altogether and just use fondant. There's always more than one way to make a unicorn cake. Then the edible image paper has a backing sheet that you're just gonna peel off. People always ask me what this tastes like. It tastes like paper. It doesn't taste that good. It is edible though. All right, so this is the easy part. We're just gonna take our eyes and place them onto the cake. And you're just gonna put them kind of down towards the bottom. Maybe an inch away from the bottom. Voila, adorable little eyes for your unicorn cake. Took me less than a minute. All right, so next we're gonna make the horn. All you need is a cake pop stick or a wooden skewer, probably not a toothpick because they're kind of sharp. Measure, like look straight at the eyes and measure right in the middle, okay? Give yourself some idea of where you're located. And then you want to come halfway between the middle and the front. So divide in half again, right there. And that's where your unicorn horn is gonna be. And then we're not gonna go straight up and down, we're gonna come forward a little bit. And just push that in. And you only need maybe 3 or 4 inches. Now we're gonna take some fondant. This is just Renshaw America's fondant. You can use whatever fondant you like or you have near to you, or you can use my fondant recipe, which is on my website, LMF. Maybe about a golf ball sized piece. And we're just gonna roll that into a ball, applying pressure on both sides of my hands, just like you would Play-Doh. Roll, roll, roll until you don't see any lines. That. And you can use your hand if you're comfortable using your hand, or you can use a fondant smoother, which just kind of helps keep the fondant from getting like lines and grooves in it. So you just want to keep one side really fat, and then the other side gets pointier and pointier. This needs to be about 6 inches long. Now, if you've never ever done this before, or if you're a little kid, you might have to practice this a couple times, and that is okay. That's how we get better at doing stuff. It's by practicing, especially if you've never touched fondant. Just imagine it's Play-Doh and you're making Play-Doh snakes. And if you mess up with Play-Doh, you can just take it off, re-roll it, and try it again. So it's just really important to understand that making mistakes is okay, and it's part of the process, and to just have fun. And we're going to start wrapping it around our stick, just like this, all the way up to the tippy top. And if you're like me, you have just enough. And just kind of smooth down that bottom area so you can't see any gaps around the stick. Make sure you have no gaps in between like I do. And if you are too nervous to make your own fondant unicorn horn, my friend Sydney from Simi Cakes makes a really awesome unicorn horn mold that you can use to make isomalt unicorn horns or chocolate, and it's super easy. There we go. All right, so next I'm going to paint the unicorn horn a bright gold. I am using my favorite gold paint called Truly Mad Plastics Super Gold, and you can get this from their website, trulymadplastics.com. It is a non-toxic gold, so it's like using crayons on your cake or something. It's not gonna hurt anybody, but it's not technically a food. Like wax is not a food, it just goes right through you, it's not digested. So a lot of people get confused about toxic and non-toxic and all that stuff. It's not gonna hurt anybody if you eat this, but it does produce the shiniest, most beautiful gold you've ever seen. But if you're concerned, just ask, you know, your client or whoever to just take the horn off, super easy, before you consume it. When you mix your gold with alcohol, you can use lemon extract, or I use Everclear, which is a very strong alcohol that evaporates very quickly. You want to just make sure that you're only putting in enough liquid to just make kind of like a thick paint consistency. If it's too thin, you're going to get streaks. You can just start painting it on nice and thick. And I like to paint this before I do any of the buttercream flowers, because if you drip, you can fix it now and it won't ruin anything. All right, so now I'm gonna go ahead and mix my buttercream colors. I'm gonna do a nice healthy scoop of buttercream, maybe about a cup, and I'm gonna color them the same colors that we did the cake. So blue, lime green, yellow, and pink. I'm just using AmeriColor electric colors, the same ones I used for the cake. I'm gonna do about a half a teaspoon in each bowl. Except for the lime green, I'm gonna do green and yellow. Now we're going to make something called a bullet, which is a way of getting buttercream that has multiple different colors inside a piping bag and for it to pipe evenly. All we need is a piece of plastic wrap, and I'm just going to take my buttercream and go blue. I'm leaving a tiny bit of buttercream outside of the bag just in case I want to use it for some accents. Green, yellow, and of course pink. And now we're just gonna roll this buttercream up into a little roll, give it a little twist, and that's our bullet. Just cut one end off. For the main swirls, I'm using my favorite piping tip, which is a Wilton 2F. Cut the tip off. Open up the bag, put that buttercream in there. Got a nice rainbow swirl ready to go. Okay, and then I'm just gonna start adding some little rosettes and swirls, starting off here in the front. Just gonna add a nice big round swirl for her bangs. You really can't do this wrong. It's kind of up to you, which is the funnest part. And come around the corner a little bit. It's almost like a mullet. Rainbow unicorn mullet. I'm gonna come in with another piping bag, the slightly smaller piping tip, and some yellow, because I like the yellow. And I feel like there's not enough. And I'm gonna do a couple of little accent details, little stars. Just to cover up that board, just using a number 4 round piping tip in my bag and some white buttercream. And now I'm going to add on some sprinkles. These are sprinkles from Sprinkle Polita. It's really cute. This is the Twilight Sprinkle Mix. I'm even just kind of tossing them on there and just stick right on there. This is how you end up with sprinkles all over your floor. The last thing we need to do is make some adorable ears. So I'm just taking some of my white fondant, don't need a lot, about the same amount we used for the horn, rolling it into a ball once again, kind of into an oblong leaf shape. Point those tips, and then flatten a little bit with your hand. Then we're gonna take some pink petal dust. This is Aurora Rose from the Sugar Art, and we're just going to use a nice fluffy brush to just paint some pink just in the middle there. You could also use gold if you want. Also a very popular choice. And then we're just gonna cut that in half. You can use your finger to kind of hollow out the center a little bit if you want. All you have to do is just place those ears right on top, either side of the horn. And the buttercream will hold them up, or you can use a little piece of spaghetti as like a skewer. Okay everybody, our rainbow unicorn cake is complete. Hopefully this tutorial has inspired you to make your own unicorn cake. If it has, go ahead and let me know in the comments. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday. Bye!
Look at this! It's so cute! It's a unicorn! It's a rainbow! Delicious!
Sweeta, polita, sweeta, polita, sweeta, polita.